be the change you wanna see.
Seaside is a caring, connected, and expanding spiritual community, sharing practical tools for richer living.
Just your heart to show you how you can be the change if you wanna.
We join in partnership with God to influence our lives for good, whether for improved health, finances, relationships, or simple happiness and joy.
And a flower, watch it grow. You will reap what you sow. You gotta be the change.
And that is our Seaside Band. Good morning, everybody. Happy Father's Day. Okay. All right. Happy Father's Day. All right. Okay. So this morning we have Audrey Nicole holding the light for this morning message from Reverend Christian. So thank you, Audra, who is a practitioner here at Seaside. Give her a round of applause, guys. She's awesome. All right, so what's happening at Seaside? So Seaside is a thriving campus. There's always something happening. There's always an event. There's always something to know about. So here are a few dates to keep in mind and put into your calendars. June 11th, we have a deep sound meditation, and we are going to have it every Monday through the summer until August 27th. So I suggest that you get into one of these Mondays because they are absolutely amazing. Look into your Inside Seaside for more information on that. June 20th begins our open mic. And if you are a rock star in your car like I am, Wednesday nights are for you. So it's singing, and if you're a comedian, if you're a magician, whatever your talent is, bring that on Wednesday. And also if you just want to come and observe and watch, Wednesday night is for you. August 26th, we have Tama Keeves, who is our guest speaker. September 14th, we have James Von Prague. And if it's going to be like, Marianne Williamson, it's going to be sold out. Make sure that you get your tickets in advance. I'm sure that we'll be gone because we have a great marketing individual here. Her name is Catherine Cespedes, and she's going to sell out for James Von Prague. September 23rd is our Board of Trustees lunch and concert, and we just had a summer concert, and it was amazing. There was free food, and it was fun. So keep that in mind for September 23rd. We're going to have another one in the fall. And then our golf tournament, October 22nd, we have John Politano here, and he is orchestrating this entire thing. Not only will there be a golf tournament at, what is it called? Camp Pendleton. Thank you, Susan. So it's going to be at Camp Pendleton. There will also be a banquet, and that's going to be fun. We're going to have Rebecca Jade in the band, and they're going to have this entire banquet, so look out for that. Seaside's education. So the certified class for this summer will be Exploring Roots of Science of Mind with Deb Sadler. So it's a 6-week class, and it provides the students with an understanding of the historical roots in America of Ernest Holmes' philosophy. Specific emphasis is given to the works of Ralph Waldo Emerson, Thomas Troward, and Emma Curtis Hopkins. The class is Tuesday evenings from 6 to 9 p.m., July 10th through August 14th. Sign up at the education table to explore the foundations of our movement. Oh, I'm not done. Hold on.
Take a breath.
Thanks. So we have tables for Gourmets for God. And there are so many events happening through the summer. Reverend Christian is having a few where he's cooking from farm to table. There will be like a professional chef with Reverend Christian. And I know Dave Palmer is doing a poker night with the gentlemen. It's a men's only. So go to the table, sign up for your bid number. So first you need your bid number, and Sully made it clear that I had to tell you, you need to get a bid number first, and then you can bid on whatever it is that you would like to attend. And, the teen camp. So there is a table back there, so you can sponsor the teens. I just went to a retreat. It was absolutely moving. It was amazing. It made me more fiery and energetic than I already am. So imagine what it's going to do for our teens. Go ahead and support them because it's always amazing to see how rejuvenized they come back. And Dances of Universal Peace at 7 p.m. And then we had this impromptu, right? So we're going to have June 21st, that's Thursday, summer solstice at Moonlight Beach at 6 p.m. we just created, Audrey and I, we decided that we were going to do this. So that's going to be on Thursday at 6 p.m. right here at Moonlight Beach. Come and talk to us if you want more information or just meet us there. And with all of that said, we may stand up and greet our neighbors.
Good morning, Seaside. Please remain standing for the congregational song. All right, we all know this one. Yeah, yeah. Sing it with me, Seaside. You ready? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I am listening to the music of the Holy, Holy Spirit. Oh, what a song God is singing. I will listen all day long. I will listen all day long. Come on, say, oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, hey yeah. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Rebecca. Hey, did you call your dad this morning?
I didn't have to. He drove into town yesterday.
Oh.
It's the first time I've seen him in a little while. So
how
he's
special.
come to help with my mom, which is actually
really?
really, really sweet.
How's Mom doing?
She's getting better every day.
Yeah?
Every day, yeah. She's doing great.
Good. All right.
So,
Oh,
thank
good.
you.
Hey, this song made me think of my dad. He said, Chris, I don't like that song. Yeah, I said, why, Dad? He said, well, oh, yeah, hey, what does that mean? It's just not about what it means, Dad. It's the feeling. And it's like, so, thank you, Dad. Anyway, good morning, Seaside. Woo, what a joy it is to be here with you on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you dads that are here. And just what I like Father's Day around my house. It's because it's all about me. So it's a good one for sure. But it's a joy to share with you. The place is alive. Friday night was just a magical time. And I see Kay. I don't know how you can be functioning after 2 months of organizing such a fantastic event. 700 people. It was just wonderful, wonderful. That was great. I see Kimberly here. The VIP reception was exquisite and elegant. Thank you for your organization with that. It was beautiful. And I'll tell you, anybody who helped out, we had 700 people here Friday night. It went smooth. It was organized. There was such a good sense. Every seat was filled. I see Richard in the back who organized, along with Catherine, the ticket sales. And just everyone who was part of it, thank you very much. I was proud of Seaside that night. It was a beautiful night. So, tell you what, if you're here for the first time, welcome. It's a joy. Wherever one is on their spiritual path, know that you are welcome here at Seaside. I mean, we're all on our spiritual path, and as we are doing this thing called life, we stumble, we bumble, and we just kind of trip over each other in our growing and embracing these spiritual concepts. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter if you're here for the first time. What I know is we're still all working on it. Because something Richard Bach wrote, I think it was in his book Illusions, when someone said, how do you know when your work is done? He said, well, you're not here anymore. And so the fact that we're here, I think we're still working on it. And so this is a place that we do our best not to have judgment, to be kind, to express love, and to care for one another. And that's what Seaside is truly about at the heart. And we believe the heart is that spot, the Spirit resides everywhere. But when we activate that place, it resonates through our whole being. And so prayer is a good way to get there. We have a wonderful practitioner here wearing her 20-year practitioner pin. This is Kathleen Lees.
Good morning. Close your eyes, please, and join me in a moment of stillness. What a joy it is to be in this spiritual home for so many of us. Seaside's family is not just the people who come here to be together every week. Seaside's family touches people all over the world. People will be apart and then they go away and they always want to come back and be with their Seaside family. And we are always, those of us who are here every week, welcome them and embrace them and are so happy to see them because we know we're never apart. We share this beautiful space, this knowing that God is all there is. We are each and one a part of one, the nature, the universe, one spirit. It is all one. So knowing that that is true, knowing that it is true for each and every one of us, and knowing that it will come through to us in a new and different way through the words of Dr. Reverend Christian Sorensen, I say, so it is.
All is well, and I am grateful. All is well,
and so it is. All is well, and I am grateful. All is well, and now it's time to let it go. All is well, and I am grateful. Life is good, and so it is. Life is good, and so it is.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Rebecca. That's great. Kathleen Lees, thank you. Max for being on the piano. That is just, it's about the heart, it's about the soul, it's about the feeling, and we're about just honoring that. And today, honoring the fathers. And I found a nice writing. You know, it's not one of the ones that's going to make you cry or anything, but and it's not even funny. But it resonated with me. It's kind of a correlation to 1 Corinthians verse 17, but it has to do with dads. And it says, "Though I manage a staff of many, but have not managed my family, I have managed nothing. And though I have negotiated a deal of deals while neglecting my children, I have neglected the opportunity of a lifetime. In fact, my God-appointed duty as a father. And though I become the head of a house, or I become head of the state, but fail to assume the role as head of the household, I am but unemployed. And though I have trained personnel, enduring hours, days, and years, but have not trained my children in the way he or she should go, I may have claimed not the title of teacher. Though I earned great wealth and respect among my peers through business accomplishments, yet I failed to earn the respect of my wife and children. I am reduced to a very poor man. Though I travel the world pursuing my goals, yet am not available to drive my son to a ball game or my daughter to her recital, I have indeed boarded the wrong plane. And though I bestow all my accomplishments to provide for my family, and though I work until utter exhaustion, but do not make time with my family a priority, it profits me nothing. Time can never be recaptured once it is past. Time spent together cannot be measured, for those precious moments become priceless memories to the beholder. For when I was a child, I thought as a child, I cherished each moment together when I took my dad's hand. And when I became a daddy, I recaptured that moment each time my little girl took her daddy's hand. For now, those memories seem as fresh as yesterday, and had I known then what I have learned until now, might I have spent just an extra minute at home instead at the office. So now abide in these: time management, quality time, quantity time, these three. But the greatest of these is time itself spent with your children. And so, with that said, it is my joy to introduce to us today our guest artist. She has been recognized this year by the San Diego Music Awards as the artist of the best album coming out of San Diego. She is also considered the best, having been voted 3 years in a row by, once again, the San Diego Music Awards, the best live performer in San Diego. We get her every week here at Seaside. And today, when our artist canceled around 8:45 and Rebecca said, "Oh, she's gone," I said, "Rebecca, you are so good. You are always my first choice." Our very own artistic director, the Rebecca J.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Seaside. Come on, get on your feet for this one. We all know this one. You ready? Oh, yeah. This song is called Ain't No Stopping Us Now. I love the message in this song. All right? Come on. Help me sing, Max. You ready? But now it looks like things are finally coming around. You know we've got a long way to go. Ask us where we're going. We don't know, but we won't let nothing hold us back. Gonna put ourselves together. Gonna polish up our act. Yeah. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Yeah. Don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. I want you to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Say, ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Oh yeah. Say, ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Oh yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the groove. Here we go. Listen, I know you know someone that has a negative vibe, and when you talk to them, you only push them aside. They really don't have nowhere to go. Ask them where they're going. They don't know, but we won't let nothing hold us back. Gonna put ourselves together. Gonna polish up our act. Yeah. And if you've ever been held down before, I know you'll refuse to be held down anymore. Don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. Oh yeah. I want you to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Oh yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got the groove. We've got the groove, yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. We're on the move, yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got the groove. Come on, Bob, play that sax. Give it up for Bob and our very own Seaside Band. Don't you let nothing, nothing stand in your way. No, no. I want you to listen, listen to every word I say, every word I say. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. We're on the move, yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got the groove. We've got the groove, yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. We're on the move. Seaside's on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. We've got the groove. Come on, yeah, yeah. Come on, yeah. Ain't no stopping us now. Thank you.
That is Rebecca Jade. Woo! That's so good. And that's why we call it a Sunday celebration here. We got enough seriousness enough in our life. So how beautiful. Rebecca, thank you for stepping in there. That was just great. Oh, so let's see. This morning's message is it's the Spirit's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. You've probably heard that before. That title's not like fresh with me. It's a line that's been around for quite some time. But what I've come to recognize is it's the Spirit's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. But I like to add the next line, which is it's got to be our good pleasure to receive it. You know, what good is it to be given something and you're not taking it? And then I watch people, begin to partake a little bit, and they start griping. It's like we live in this land of milk and honey, and people are complaining about the calories. It's like, come on, guys. Your good is waiting for you, and it is our joy to be able to receive it because it just honors the presence. And so you get to come down to a place of choice. I am reminded of something Louise Hay used to say. It's how you start the day. How you start the day is how your day goes. And how your day goes is how your life goes. Yeah? It all starts with the morning. You get to decide, how am I going to start this day? Am I going to start with joy? Am I going to start it in celebration? Am I going to start it in believing? Am I going to accept that it's Spirit's good pleasure to give me the kingdom? Or am I going to go out there and struggle and fight and have to duke it out? I get to decide it's Spirit's good pleasure to give me the kingdom, but I'm the one who's got to be present for that. I'm the one who's got to be available for that. I remember Trevor. I still remember Trevor. But I am remembering about 17 years ago. Trevor's in our world. He's, one, maybe getting close to two. And Seaside was just exploding and rocking, moving into this place. There was a lot going on, and there's always things, people to call and it's things to respond to and classes and all that. But on top of that, at that point in my life, I was also president of this international movement. So I've got this full-time gig called Seaside that I love and adore with all my passion. And I'm not only president, but I'm also the community spiritual leader of the whole thing, which is kind of how I got this title here. If I could do the whole thing, I could do Seaside as a spiritual leader. But anyway, so I talked about meetings here. There's meetings there, meetings in Burbank. There was conference calls. There's this newfangled thing starting out around then called email that I was trying to figure out. I still haven't got a grasp of, but I'm getting it. And then travel. I always had to be somewhere. I always seemed to get back on Sunday morning, even if I was like Rebecca getting in just in the nick of time. But across the country, it was a lot of fun. I got to speak in England and Europe and Russia, Australia, South Africa. But that was a full-time job. Seaside was a full-time love. And now I've got a new kid in my world. And I'm lying down at night thinking, oh, man, I wish I was home with my son. And who knows where I was waking up. And I can remember one morning, this is about the 17 years ago I was talking about, is, Trevor, starts rustling in the crib in the early a.m. Not that early, and I'm a morning guy, but it's earlier. And Callie, bless her heart, she's always on duty, so morning tends to be, go get your kid. And so it's 4:57, and I'm in a daze walking down the hall. I wouldn't even remember the color of the carpets if it was the first time. And I get in the room, and my head's already off on these meetings and calls, and I probably missed the first smile of the day out of my kid's face, and I pick him up, and he puts his head against my chest, and I hold him, and I sit down in the rocking chair, and I start rocking, and I start thinking about the news, and then it's just the only news that matters is you're holding your son, and he's putting his head against you, and he's rocking. Christian, get back, get present here, because life is just zipping by, and he reaches for, takes those little baby fingers, goes to put some on my lips, and I go to push them away, and as I go to push those fingers away, I see those fingers, and like all of a sudden they take me into the future. I see those fingers that are sticking their hands in finger paint as he's a little bit older, and then I can see those hands digging in the mud and pulling out pumpkin seeds out of a pumpkin and racing his little Hot Wheels cars, and those hands as they grow into a bigger boy wrapping themselves around my neck as I'm giving him a ride on my back, or hugging mom's leg and putting him around him, or holding his beloved's hand as he gets older and he matures, and marrying, and who knows, maybe even having his own little baby and putting those hands around him. And definitely I see those hands pulling his old man out of the rocking chair trying to get up as I'm getting older. And like I've just in a twinkle of an eye, I could have missed that moment just as I had missed that first smile because my head was somewhere else. I saw this whole future unfold so rapidly, like the lines passing on the highway, all by 4:57 in the morning. And I recognize what is my priority. And I'm clear, family, God, family, and Seaside. So that other stuff had to go. And I am so happy by that choice because it has allowed me to be present for my son. And I have seen his hands throw the football and shoot the basketball and paddle waves, those things I had seen in a vision. You know, one of the lessons I learned from my dad is that he was present. That was the thing. He was always there. When I got home from school, my dad was there. Unless he was off shooting a film or a picture somewhere, he was home, which probably kept me from getting in a lot more trouble than I might have if he hadn't been around. And that influence. And I can remember when Trevor was born, he said to me, you know, son, you know, life doesn't come with instruction books, and that's why they're fathers. And it's like, I get it. I want to be present, you know, for my son, because it's Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. And there's something Henry Wadsworth Longfellow said. And he said that a torn jacket can be mended soon, or is soon mended. They spoke funny then. A torn jacket can soon be mended. Mended, I know, now I'm messed. You got it. Anyway, a torn jacket can soon be mended, but hard words bruise the hearts of children. I just don't want to do that. And I want to be there in love and not ending apologizing. I want to be there. And it's with that, when you're present, you get to recognize it's Father's good, or it's the Spirit's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. We've got to be able to make our choices and say, hey, this is what my pleasure is. I'm not going to complain about it. It's so good. I'm going to be available and enjoy it to the fullest, no matter what that is. And I'm reminded of a story that's been told in various different ways about the European refugees during the war. And as the invading soldiers would come and destroy a town, there was this one family, and the son came to the grandfather and said, we've got to go. If we stay, we will all be killed by the invading soldiers. And our freedom is just on the other side of that mountain range. We've got to leave this village that's surrounded by the mountains, kind of like, you know, the Sound of Music story, the Von Trapp family. Got to get out of there. And Grandpa said, you know, I can't. I just, you know, I'm too old. My mountain hiking days are behind me. And besides, soldiers aren't going to kill an old man. He said, Dad, if you stay, it's surely your grave. Come on. And I said, I can't. And then the granddaughter came, 12-year-old, and said, come on, Grandpa, if you're not going, I'm not going either. And he said, okay. And so that next morning, they took off early in the AM. There was about 10 in the family, ranging from the 1-year-old little grandchild to the 12-year-old, through sister, brother, grandpa. They started off, and hours into it, stop, take a break, and rest, hours more. By midday, Grandpa sat down and said, I can't do it anymore. That's it. And, you know, it's just too much, and guys got to go on without me. And they said, we're not leaving you. He says, you've got to. And the son said, but Grandpa, look at everybody. Everybody's been carrying that 1-year-old, and everyone is exhausted. He's looking now at the 12-year-old granddaughter holding a little baby, 1-year-old baby sister. And his son said to him, Grandpa, it's your turn to carry the baby. And he looked around and saw everyone's exhausted face, and he got up. He said, give me that kid. And he held that baby against his chest and looked at it and said, wow, I'm ready to go. Let's go. You know, I just needed a break, and I took a rest, and we were good to go. And he was part of that crew as they made it over the mountain pass and into safety that night. All 10 of that family made it. But that is one of the things that happens, is that when we allow that youthfulness, when we allow that freshness, and we allow that new life that is near and dear to our heart, there's a new strength, there's a new possibility. We find something that allows us to recognize that that Spirit hasn't pulled back its joy of gifting us the pleasures of the kingdom, but they are still available. But we are the ones that are going to have to decide whether or not we're going to be recipients of that. And in life, there are challenges. Let's not be mistaken about that. But when I come to recognize that in this changing, dynamic world, there's a part within inside of me that doesn't change. And Ernest Holmes talks about dwell within that part of you that is changeless in this ever-changing exterior world. You know, all change, he says, takes place within that which is changeless, within the Spirit. So that kingdom and the possibilities are always there in that omnipresent expression of the divine presence. But where are you looking? Are you complaining about what's there, or are you embracing the greater possibilities? We're living in a world that is beautiful and wonderful, and I can feel that sometimes. And I walk on the beach, and there's just magic. And other times I'm going to read the headlines, and I go, wow, things are really messed up. It's not good what's going on. And the truth is, it's both of those things that's going on. And it comes down to, what am I going to listen to inside of my head and my heart? What is it that I'm going to get in order? I'm like in this conundrum, if you would. What energy am I going to take out in the world? It's kind of best to deal with it at home before I step out there into life. But I'm the one who's got to have that shift. And I can remember sitting there not long ago with that going on, and I heard, your eyes are getting worse, Christian. Where'd that come from? Eyes are getting worse. I'm getting older. They didn't tell me, but I'm getting it. No, the way you are looking at things, it's like somebody speaking. I get up, from the breakfast table because I've been looking at the headlines in the news, and I had done yoga the day before. I was a little sore before, and I get up, and it's like, wow, I do this hot yoga, so it's not unusual for the muscles to be aching. And I get up, and all of a sudden, the muscles are better and it's feeling good. And I step outside into the garden, which my dad taught me the love of gardening. And our tomato plants this year are taller than me. They're more than 6 feet high, these lush green things. I'm looking up, and above them is the peach tree with the sun just filtering through the leaves and the branches, and literally hundreds of peaches on this tree. And I'm thinking, God's really good. It heals my body. You got these beautiful fruits, spring tree. Things are growing here. And we've got to really work on getting to that place where I can see that. I'm walking, and it's like I'm feeling my dad around here. And I'm talking to my dad like a therapist. Dad, what's going on here? You didn't tell me about this eye thing. And before, it's the way in which I see. It's a good pleasure, but it's not feeling very pleasurable. And it's like all of a sudden, I get this. It's not words. When we connect with that spirit, it's not words, or at least for me usually. It was like all of a sudden, I moved back into that place, like in my dad's presence, where at home when I was a kid, I was fortunate. I had one of those happy childhoods. I know it's unique, but I got lucky. And but I loved my home. It was a place of peace. There was no financial concerns. There was no anger going on there, issues like that. And I get into that place, and then I remember this is the kind of peace that I need to return to when I begin to see poorly in life and forget that it is the possibility of greater expression and where I'm seeing the challenges going on. And as I allow myself to be in that place of peace, I bring this to the world. It's kind of like a storm. Things go on in this world. Like the storms happen, the sky doesn't change. The sky is the same, but the storm passes through the sky. In our life, things go on in our world and our family on this planet, and they are like tornadoes. They are a mess. But you know what? They are passing through that which is changeless, that is always saying, here's the option. Good pleasure to give you the kingdom, Christian. Which way are you going with this? You get to go in the direction that you begin to open up your heart to. And like storms that pass through, I have come to realize, you know what? I can't stop a storm. I'm going to stop the weather patterns. Come on now, And what you do is you get dressed for it, you prepare yourself for it, you do your best, to not get yourself into danger. You weather the storm. If it starts to rain, you go inside, right? And so if it starts to rain in your life, what you do is you return to the Father's house. I did a memorial service Tuesday for Don Catalisa, and thank you for the flowers from their family. But did the 23rd Psalm there, and it was, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It's the final line to the 23rd Psalm there. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I walk through the valley, the challenges that are there. But if it gets too rough, I need to go home to that place that hasn't been violated, that place of calm and peace. And remember that I'm still being offered in this moment the opportunity to experience the pleasures of heaven. But I am the one who has to be willing to accept it and embrace it. And what we are given all the time in life is this choice. What eyes are you going to see with? And what are you going to accept as your reality? You got two choices. You can be a creator in the world, or you can be a critic. You can be a lover, or you can be a hater. You can be a giver, or you can be a taker. Either way, it comes down to what you do with what is being offered. Now, one of the fun things I used to do with my dad is we'd go up to a town called Grass Valley, and there was a department store in those days called May Company. And so May May Company had these 10,000 acres up there, and we used to go out. In the spring, we'd go fishing. In the fall, we'd go collect firewood, chase quail. But one of the things we did is also we got bags of walnuts, and we picked walnuts. And I can remember roasting walnuts at home, and my dad, what I recognize now as a lesson, is said, God may create nuts. We may be given the nuts, but we still have to crack them. And it's like, it's a pleasure to give you the kingdom, but you still got to do it. And then I would crack with the nutcracker, and then I'd get out the sledgehammer, and it didn't work. It's like a mess. And I realize now you get to use the tool of a nutcracker or a sledgehammer. And sometimes in our life, if you've got a little gnat, you don't need to take out the hatchet to get rid of it from your forehead. And sometimes we bring on too much of the force when we don't have to do that. But you get to decide. On Sunday afternoons, I used to watch the football with my dad, the Los Angeles Rams. After church, we'd hit Marv's Deli, get some pastrami and cheese and rye, and go home. And he would say to me, Christian, in the game of life, I'm not interested in 50-yard line seats. I want to be in the game. I thought, yeah, that's the way that you get to experience the fullness in life. That is the way in which you get to go all out and step into that place and recognize that there is this limitless power that I can use. But what happens is we forget that it's been given to us to use, to live, to experience, and we begin to stress out. And when you hit those stressful moments in your life, and the crisis, whether it is a personal crisis, emotional crisis, a family crisis, an earthly crisis, it begins to add up, and the body can only take so much before it begins to break down, which is why we have to get it out. But what happens is we end up being like Yertle the turtle, where it just piles up high and high, and he says, no more, and it comes crashing down. That is what the stress will do to us if we sit there looking at those areas that are not bringing the pleasure and the joy in our life. If it doesn't match up to that, what am I going to do with this? What am I? Because there has to be space in our mind and our body for spirit to show up. It is filled up with the stress, the headlines, the challenges. We are not allowing ourselves to receive the ever-presence of the heavenly presence in our life so it can do what it is offering its expression to do as our life. We're the ones who've got to listen to the Heavenly Father, since it's Father's Day, I'm calling it that. Been my best, if you notice, to keep it balanced there. But it is Father's Day. And sometimes we resist what's being offered or the lessons or life. And there was this young man, Stanley Marcus, and he was working at his dad's store, and a lady returned a dress that she obviously had damaged. And it was an expensive dress, particularly for that time and era. And the kid went to his dad and said, this lady is returning this dress. She has damaged it. There's no way the manufacturer is going to give us our money back. She made the problem. And Dad said, you know what? The manufacturer didn't sell her that dress. We did. And in addition to that, you know what? It takes about $200 to develop a regular customer, and this dress is only $175. I want you to give her her full refund back, and with a smile. And the kid just didn't agree, but he went ahead and did that, which is probably a wise move from the lessons that the man who founded Neiman Marcus left, because this woman went on to become one of their regular customers who ended up spending over $500,000 in future merchandise. And so sometimes some of the wisdom that comes from on high or from that heart place or from the earthly dad or the heavenly father, mother expression may not seem right. It may not seem logical, but there is an emergence of a love, of a greater wisdom if we make ourselves available to it that can make a difference in our life. But we're the ones who've got to be open to the shift and the change that is there. And as we are, things begin to happen that we wouldn't have expected. But sometimes we need to go through our life lessons, and life will give us that opportunity to stumble, to stress, and to have the challenge. Reminds me of the story of a kid who lived in the Midwest, and the graduation time's coming up, and he had just graduated from high school, and he lived on a farm, and he was through with schooling. But his parents wanted him to go to college. And he said, I'm just so sick of school and education, I am done. They said, well, then you can work on the farm. And he just despised the chores because farm work was hard work, and he didn't want anything to do with it. And he'll say, well, you college work, you know. And they got into a fight, and this 18-year-old guy, he was just so upset with his dad. He stuck a few things in the bag, and he was leaving, and his dad was angry. The emotions were flying. Dad came out on the porch and said, young man, if you leave this house, don't you ever come back. And mom's on the side crying. The tears are coming on. And you can just imagine that scene and that dynamic that is happening there. And the kid takes off, and he's just loving his life for a month or so as he's hitchhiking, you know, out west. But after a few months, he's starting to get it. You know, that he goes to write a note, Dad, I'd like to come home, but he just can't do it and get that note out. And after about a year, he finally sits down and writes that letter and says, Dear Dad, I'd like to come home. I've tried to get work. I've had probably a dozen different jobs, and they all ask the same question, you know, do you have a college education? And I get you and Mom were right about that, and I want to go to college. I want to learn about farming, and if you would have me, I'd like to come back and really help our farm, you know, move to the next level. But I also understand you said don't ever come back if I leave, and I just was afraid to ask, but I'm reaching out, and I'd like to come back, but you can't get a hold of me right now. I'm without a place, and I'm traveling, and I'm going to be driving by the farm in a few days. I don't really know when. I'm hitchhiking. It's kind of dependent on that. And so if it's okay for me to return home, would you leave the porch light on? And I'll make sure I come by at night. And if it's not on, I understand. You know, I'm just so sorry. I think about the home now that I'm away and what we had. With that, he found his way next day to like a mailbox and got that mailed, and he waited, maybe made 50 miles the next day, and, you know, trying to hitchhike, and got a little bit further, and after several days, he had not even gotten halfway there, and, you know, sleeping outside at night, not sleeping well. He finally found an oak tree one night where he was sleeping, and he was sleeping and dreaming of home, and he woke up to the kids playing on the farm, and dogs chasing rabbits, and the hum of pleasant hum. He thought of that tractor and the crows, not crows, but the roosters crowing, and he just remembered like home and smelling the apple pie, and Mom saying, here, I made this for you, and his sisters that were just a hassle to him, but just he could do no wrong in their eyes. And he got up and he dusted himself off, and I'm going. He started out hitchhiking, nothing much happened. He got a ride that day with a traveling salesman. And so he spent the whole afternoon driving cross country with this man. The guy asked him, you know, where are you going? And the kid says, home. And he says, you've been gone for a while? I said, long. He said, how long? He said, about 1 year, 2 months, and 2 days. And the guy got it. And so why don't we go to dinner? The kid said, I can't go in. Look at me. I'm a mess. I don't want to shame you. He said, come on. So he took him out to dinner and fed him, got a place to stay there. And I said, you're welcome to stay. And he said, I can't. I don't have any money. He said, that's okay. Why don't you just get a good night's sleep, get cleaned up. Next morning, got him breakfast, and they shook hands. And the older guy, the salesman, said, you know, son, I just want you to know, my older son is, he's been gone 2 years and 15 days. And I just hope somebody will be as nice to him as I'm trying to be to you. With that, they said their goodbyes, and the kid kept going cross country little by little. And he got within 50 miles and couldn't get a ride all day, and the sun's starting to go down, and he's getting excited. He said, I'm going to walk home if that's what it takes. And he starts walking, and tractor trailer pulls over, and some guy gives him a ride, and he jumps in, and they start driving down the road, and they're not too talkative. About 30 miles down the road, it starts to rain real hard, and the kid's sleepy. He wants to fall asleep, but, you know, he's wide awake. He's wondering, you know, is the light going to be on? Dad going to have me back? And it's pouring hard, and he can hardly see, and he's getting close, and he can't look. And the truck driver looks out the window and says, now, if that's not the darndest thing I've seen all day, there is that house. On a porch, there are 4 or 5 chairs out there. Each chair has a bright lantern burning in it, and there's an old man, crazy guy with a flashlight pointing it out towards the road, and they got the porch light on there. And it's like, wow. And I guess what's important to get in life is that after mistakes, there's still life. It is the Spirit's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, but we have to be willing to let those mistakes be. We've got to be willing to let them go and to rest and to recognize that there is a greater possibility than sometimes what we're caught up in. And it's been a very exciting week in Callie's and my household. You hear me talk about Trevor for the last 18 years, and he has had his struggles having been diagnosed on the autistic spectrum, and which has shown up for him and his difficulty in verbal communication and dialogue. And with that, as he has gotten older in social settings, it becomes more uncomfortable. And in school settings, the interaction is very difficult for him. He's learned to remove himself from uncomfortable situations, so he has aides that stay with him all the time. And he isolates himself often so he doesn't have to experience the uneasiness and the stress that, that's inside, and the loud noises and the difficulties. I mean, he never sits in here with us, but I'll tell you, he has hardly ever missed a Sunday in 18 years. He's sitting in my office right now. I told you I turn the speaker on as soon as I walk out. He turns it off. But, he is there. And so this is final week in the public education. He had started off in private schools, and I've got to say our education systems have supported him very well. We probably couldn't have asked for much more. Wonderful teams of people and everybody coming together to support him the best of their abilities in our particular system. As the school system lost a lot of funding, one of the areas they did fund was special needs, and our son was blessed to be a recipient of that. And so graduation is coming up, and our son's not going to be able to walk with hundreds of kids in a gown. It's just not a comfortable, pleasant dynamic for him. Lucas, though, Emily, and John, congratulations, graduating with my kid. So anyway, Callie, senior week, his son's not going to the prom. Callie loved her high school days, wished nothing but the same for him, and it wasn't working. But she asked the teacher if she could just do a little ceremony, to honor his completion of 12th grade. They said, yeah, they would do that. And we were not really sure, what that meant, but Thursday afternoon before school was out, we went to the school, and they made arrangements in the school auditorium. The drama teacher came out from wherever he was, and he flipped the stage lights on, for Trevor. He turned on the PA system and got Trevor a microphone. And Trevor walked in there, and Mom put on his graduation robe and gown, this wonderful green robe. And as he walked to this stage in this big auditorium, this big black hole, his friends started pouring in. We didn't even know he had friends because he doesn't verbally communicate talking about his friends. There were 30 of his friends sitting in the front rows cheering him on. He walks around, he's on the classroom, so all the custodians came to cheer him on. His teachers left their classroom, his aides came, and there's Trevor. He steps up on stage in front of all these people, totally in his power, self-confident, not embarrassed, takes the microphone from his teacher who's wearing the black robe and starts saying a few words, and they play this powerful, like Rocky music over the loudspeakers. And in that moment, the principal walks down the aisle of the auditorium and hands our son his certificate of graduation. Marv, just there we are, proud mom and dad with our kid. And so I questioned some of my parenting, but one of the things I shared with you is my dad was always there, and I made a choice early on that I would be there with him. And it was the right choice for sure, in every way. And what I've come to discover is that when I can remember the unlimited power of Spirit, my limited power no longer will stress me out. Because, there's something beyond what it is I know. And Trevor has just reminded me that he can step into a place that I never thought was possible. And I've got to remember, in my life, it is the Spirit's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. And I'm the one who must make the choice to step into that which I know is beyond possible. God bless us as we live our children's lessons. Hey, let's keep it going for Rebecca Jade.
What a beautiful message this morning, Reverend Christian. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well, I thought this song was suiting, that's not the right way? No, proper for this. Wonderful message. It's the only song I know on the piano, but I really love this song. It's a song by Andra Day. She's a singer here from San Diego, doing really, really well out there. And it's just a beautiful, positive message song, and I hope you like it. Broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see in you, and we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I rise like the day. I rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I rise up high like the waves. I rise up in spite of the ache. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you. And the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll bring the world to his feet and move mountains. Bring the world to his feet and move mountains. And I rise like the day. I rise unafraid. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. And I rise up high like the waves. I rise up in spite of the ache. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. Yeah. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, yeah. And I rise like the day. I rise up in spite of the ache. I will rise again, yeah. And I rise up high like the waves. I rise up in spite of the ache. I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you.
That is Rebecca Jade on the piano, tickling those keys. Rise Up, man, that is an anthem. I love it, I love it. Gosh. All right. This is the time of our service where we have the opportunity to share our gifts, to give our offering, to share our love, and just know that it is coming from your heart and your soul. At least that is the way in which it is received. We have been blessed, and we share that blessings, and in sharing these blessings, we are able to just continue to share that light and this message from this wonderful holy ground upon which we stand. There's amazing things that Seaside is doing, for sure. I mean, the fact that we were able to bring Marianne Williamson here this weekend is a wonderful testimony of it being a vortex, a spiritual hub that is able to be a place that offers spiritual perspectives on dynamic times in our life, and that people show up for that. We had the place for that to happen. We had the love, we had the heart, and we had the spirit, and the volunteers to make that. So it's a place where healing happens. It is a place where prayer comes first. We got Audra sitting in our prayer center right now, just holding that light and knowing prayer is available afterwards. It's a place of love and caring where we can share our heart, the pains, the challenges. It may take 18 years for some resolution to unfold, but we continue to be here in those times of joy as well as difficulty. So with that, I want to invite our ushers to come forward. I want to say thank you to everyone for that support that you give, those that mail in your contributions when you cannot be here on a Sunday. It's greatly appreciated. Those who participate with the Auto Tithe program, that regular support from your world and supporting the activities of Seaside, that regular ongoing basis is very helpful, particularly going into the summer. Actually, any time that the regularity of that flow assists us to operate without that extra concern. I mean, we always know Spirit provides. It's just nice to know how before. Anyway, I share this prayer of gratitude and love, appreciation with the most generous of spiritual communities, knowing that this is a blessed moment where the fullness of the divine expresses as our very life. And I know right now it's in that expression that we find the revitalization, like looking into a young person's eyes and just seeing that vibrancy, just as that child renewed the grandfather. I know right now looking into that and recognizing that that light is on, the porch light is always on, the ability to accept that blessings of the Spirit continue to be ours. And I choose to be that circulator, that giver, that contributor, not only that taker in life. And so as I allow myself to be that conduit through which that infinite passes into form, I find myself generously, joyously participating and giving and sharing that which I can, and knowing there are no strings attached, just being in that place of love and that circulation and knowing that my contribution is significant. And so feeling good about that, I am able to move forward in a sense of peace, knowing that my individual life has been blessed, and in sharing this, I continue to share those blessings that ripple out into the world, bringing the good to everyone it comes in contact. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for this opportunity to be able to be in that place of loving sharing, and so it is. Amen. And let us say together our affirmation of abundance, which is, Spirit continues to bless my world. Gratefully I live as the giving expression of Spirit, opening the floodgates of the affluent flow of greater good as my life now. Those are your guys from Seaside. And so as I stand before this abundant expression of good, I know it comes from the abundant overflow of each and every one of us, for this is the outpouring of God's blessing and activity as our very life. And so it has been given in love, it is received in love, it is handled in good stewardship, and it is put forth back into this wonderful flow and the circulation of life, continuing to bring the blessings and the love and the joy to everyone it comes in contact. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for this opportunity to participate in the wonderful flow. And so it is. Amen. Hey, this is John, father of Lucas, who graduated at La Costa Canyon on Friday night. Congratulations to you and Emily. Happy Father's Day, and just bless you for all the support you've given us. How are we doing with papers? People signing and making sure it's correct?
3 left to be
Approved. Only 3 left to be approved. Good going. And then they'll all be in the ground sometime summer. How about we have a big party, celebrate year-end when the board's throwing a party and a concert for everyone? Sound good? Will it be in there by September? Yep. Okay, that's good. All right, that's nice. Anyway, let's see. I shared the flowers and Don, his memorial service, and we had a wonderful memorial service from Marty this week. Heart goes out there for sure. So, it's doing these thank yous. Thank you guys in the band once again, and big thank you, Rebecca. Way to step in last minute. You're just magnificent, and just always a joy to have you singing here and blessing us with your song and keyboards. Oh my, you got it down. Now we know. Watch out, Max. Here she comes. Anyway, Matthew, thank you for sound. Marv, visuals, appreciate it. Thanks for getting Trevor's picture up there for everyone. Know that there's CDs available after the service if you would like that, or you can always sign up for the Joyous Podcast, have that sent to you direct. You can watch online. Big shout out to the whole Crawford sound crew. It's just always wonderful to be able to share that. There's people around the country watching this. I hear it every week, so we know you're there. We love you, and let us know your prayer requests or any comments. We'd love to hear that for sure, and thank you for your support. So. Lots going on at Seaside. Big news is we've got Gourmets for God coming up. Next Sunday is the last time you're going to have the opportunity to share a meal with somebody who's sitting around you today. We have a wonderful family. It's a great chance to get to know people in a closer, more intimate setting. There's 21 meals available, and Susan, who's heading up Gourmets for God, set up a farm-to-table experience where I get to be the guest chef or some fancy chef overlooking, I guess, an Oceanside or Carlsbad where you can see the ocean. It'll be a wonderful day. So that's going on. Callie and I are doing a champagne brunch after the service on one of the days. Notice how I'm pitching mine. But there's a lot of others reading there. You got sailboats. You got poker parties. You've got UFO watching. There's all sorts of fun things that are there. Take a look. Sign up today. The sooner you get in, the less expensive those meals are. And the friends you'll make, I can't even begin to convey to you. That's the real value of this. They'll be yours forever. So that's going on. Monday night, Kay is doing setting up the place for Deep, the sound meditation. You want one of those out-of-body experiences? That's the place to be. We got a wonderful class coming up, the guys who influenced Ernest Holmes. When I say guys, that includes Emma Curtis Hopkins, along with Troward and Emerson. Deb Sather's teaching, that wonderful teacher, heads up our education. So take a look at that. There's a dozen people signed up already. And I can keep talking about Seaside, but what I want to do is pray. Healing is what is the thrust of our movement. It's not the words. It's not the carrying on. It is experiencing the presence. And as you started off here today, it is about Seaside celebrates the presence. And with that, we can experience the depth and the love and the joy and the presence. So I invite any of our religious science practitioners to stand at this time as all of us step up higher in that wonderful voice that Rebecca was singing. Just higher. And in consciousness and awareness and possibilities, I adjust my sight and realize that if I'm seeing the challenges here, I'm having difficulty seeing. So I choose to see as God sees in this moment. I come into alignment and believe in the greater possibility and know that that infinite wisdom that guides the universe is the same intelligence that is unfolding the guidance in each of our personal experiences. And so as I stand here in this resonant field of the divine vibration, I can feel the diverse expression of God and know know that I am spirit expressing. I step through the differentiations and begin to merge with that wonderful vibration of wholeness itself, and I embrace the color and the expressions of life and know that we all bring our integral piece to this collective tapestry in this world. And as we continue to brighten that unique expression of our individuality, we find a depth and a conviction and an assurance and step forth in our life with a new kind of faith, knowing that any of the stumbles or the tumbles that we have had, any of the mistakes, does not need to deny us. I like what Mary Tyler Moore said. She said that if you are to develop being brave and patient and strong, it doesn't happen only through wonderful things. And so I know right now that if those challenging times have shown up in our world and it's stretching the very fabric of our being, that there is that opening for the emergence of a greater understanding of the presence of God. And it's in this divine download that the healing happens. And it happens in the physical body because it is the temple of God. And the body knows how to respond to its innate blueprint of wholeness and significance. And so living in this world with the strength and the ability and the resources to share what is ours to do with a sense of fulfillment and joy, and it is just the natural state of our walk in this world. And as we walk this world being that which we have come here to be, we come to recognize it is Spirit's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, and it becomes ours to receive it at the next level of love and abundance and joy and grace and good and contributions and self-expression and self-confidence and self-worth. And we bring this to our relationships and our partnerships and the love in which we express in our world. And we live with a skip in our step and a twinkle in our eye, for truly we have been ordained by the presence of the almighty expression itself. And I know right now that the porch light is always on, inviting us in to step up to a greater place, a healthier place, a more dynamic expression, a place where there is peace and there is balance, and when the storms come, that we are able to find that perfect calm and not internalize it and get to the point where the body breaks down and you got to say no more, but rather there is that inner calm that Ernest talks about, that we're able to dwell as the outside world turns around, and we can dwell in the house of the Lord forever, as the psalmist said. And it's in this place we take those eyes that can see the blessings. I look upon our wonderful prayer request chest and know that every request that has been placed there is fulfilled. The stirring of the heart and the soul unfolds with an ease and a grace. And for Rebecca's mom, Leslie, right where she is, her body heals up. It works in divine collaboration with the medical modalities to support the just realigning and the swift physical healing, and a sense of comfort in this healing process, and peace for Rebecca as she looks upon her mom, knowing that love heals all, for it is the confirmation of the presence of God. And for beloved Elliot Terrell, that right where he is, that presence of God is moving through his body, that his home is just radiates with the light and love of spirit and family and wife and daughter and grandchild. That love is what just activates the wholeness at his cellular level. And for Sandy Atkinson, that right where she is, the presence of God moves through her body. Her body is the temple of God. And as a woman who walked this world in her power and her passion and the balance upon earth, I know the reciprocating blessings of the perfect healing is what unfolds in her life with an ease and a grace. Grateful to know that we are family in times of joy and times of stress and challenge, but we continue to be here for one another, knowing that we're all growing up together in our spiritual maturity, knowing that the blessings of Spirit has its way, and Seaside continues to grow. It continues to be a thriving spiritual community, inspiring all to live their divinity. And this resonant vibration goes out that has been cast, attracts those that can be fed by this celebration of Spirit that takes place within the heart and soul of this community. I say thank you, thank you, thank you, Father, Mother, wonderful expression of Spirit, for the wonderful gifts that are unfolding in this moment beyond what we thought was possible. For there is that limitless expression of Spirit that brings my limited thinking a sense of ease, that it's not resting upon my knowingness, but upon the infinite. So I let go to this. I trust it. I believe with an unshakable conviction in the divine right action in and through all things as we contribute to the consciousness of this planet, this time, for peace, for love, for wholeness to emerge, trusting the process that we are in. I let go to this and allow Spirit to absolutely to continue to have its way. And so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. And this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. 'Cause I'm only here for God. Said no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Come on, Seaside, sing it from your heart. Beautiful. Say no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yeah.
And our affirmation for the week is, I am a channel of the divine power. Together, I am a channel of the divine power. Touch your heart and say it again. I am a channel of the divine power. One more time, like it's a truth. I am a channel of the divine power. And our song of grace.
I'm living in love. I'm living in peace. I'm living my life for what I believe, through joys and through fears. In this world I walk, God's grace shines on me, and it shines on us all. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We are living in grace. We're living in love. We're living in peace. United